What is going on, YouTube? It's your man Takame Love Anime, Kaisen Season 2, Episode 3. Get you something to eat, grab a snack, whatever it gotta be, sit back, relax, and let's get into this one. So at the beginning, we got to see the plasma star vessel submersed in water, and that kind of foreshadowed what we were going to see later on in the episode. But we got to see Koro being taken again and them rescuing her to have a flashback which kind of sped up, which this episode paced a little bit quick. So they did give us a glimpse of how they recovered her. They flew and everything. Gojo was harassing people on the plane, and Geto had his dragon flying next to the plane for extra security. So we got to see Raiko. We got to see Raiko and Gojo bond a little bit more, and him feel bad because of the fact that she's gonna have to assimilate with Tengen pretty soon. So he tried to actually lengthen her enjoyment for her at this very moment, which is very sincere of him to do so, because it's definitely what she needed at this time, even though eventually she's just gonna have to accept what's to come. But he tried to make the most out of every situation. So it was nice to see Gojo kind of pull back a little bit and try to do his absolute best in this circumstance. The episode we're going on, we got to hear the OST and everything. It sounded absolutely amazing. The soundtrack, just all the music in the back, it really complemented this episode and made this episode skyrocket to another point to where it already was, because this episode really is setting the foundation for what's to come later on in the season. And I'm so excited to see what they do going on to the next couple of episodes. So we got to see Geto with the paper of the 3 days mapped out from the things that are happening between all the kidnappings to what was supposed to be scheduled to happen. It was nice to see that, because it really gave you a structure of what's been happening through these episodes if you kind of missed certain things. So that's been one thing that they've been doing really good, just keeping you updated even if you missed little subtle hints. And we got to see Yu and Nanami, which at first I did not realize that was Nanami until his name popped up on screen. Nanami definitely had a glow up. He's came a very long way, and as well as his friend Yu. I'm going off and just saying that's his best friend Yu at this point, but it was nice to see them. Nanami still being the very nonchalant person that he is. You just gotta love him for who he is at this point. So I was definitely happy to see him and Yu. We get to see Geto pull Gojo to the side, and we can see that Gojo is fatigued. He has not let his technique up to this point. He's still taking it easy because something doesn't feel right at this very moment, which is adding to Toji's plan, because Toji knows that he can't take Gojo on as of now. So he's putting all these things in place to wear him down. So when his moment is, the moment he's able to strike, he will do so to try to get the best of Gojo. So we get to a point to where Geto, Gojo, Raiko, and Koro all make it to inside of the Jujutsu Kaisen barrier. At this very moment, the bounty is over. It has not been claimed. So we get to see Gojo relax and let go of his technique. And the moment that he lets go of his technique and he has discussion with Geto and kind of says, like, I'm done watching brats, he gets stabbed between the chest. Geto's face changes and he realizes we're inside the Jujutsu Kaisen barrier. How in the hell did this person get in here? Turns out it's the man himself, Toji. That man made it into the barrier because of no cursed energy. His presence couldn't be felt, so there is no veil to keep him out. Which means, just shows you how talented that he is. In the midst of this, Gojo still being Gojo, that did nothing to him but made it feel like a safety pin going through a knitted sweater. Just goes to show you how strong Gojo actually is. Gojo tells Geto that he needs to take Koro and Raiko and get them out of here, because they need to be taken, because Tengen needs the plasma vessel and he will deal with Gojo. So Geto has no choice but to trust Gojo, because Gojo is the only person that can take care of something like this. So we get to see Gojo and Geto, well, Gojo and Toji, the moment that I've been waiting for so long, to see these two fight animated. That really shifted the landscape of the series for me. Toji with the cursed spirit on his body now, with the cursed technique, with the cursed tool, and you get to see Gojo kind of try to pinpoint and figure out Toji, which he starts to understand. He hears the footsteps after he uses his amplification blue technique to destroy everything around him so Toji couldn't hide. But he realized to himself that this man doesn't have any cursed energy, so I can't sense his movements even if I wanted to. So I would try to search for the spirit that's on his shoulder, not knowing that Toji is always one step ahead and he's always going to create covers for himself so he could be able to get behind. Up to this point, Toji has only been ever spotted one time behind somebody, and that was when Gojo was super young and he had to go see the six eyes for himself up close. We got to see a point where Toji just watching Gojo, and I would say maybe his maid or his mother, walking him through, and we get to see Gojo turn behind and look, which kind of set Toji off at this point, because this is the first and last time that he was ever noticed behind somebody, and that means a lot. Even Gojo to this point couldn't sense it because of how worn down he was. And Toji knowing this and really being able to pick that much up from one encounter with him shows you how much of Toji is an absolute threat. So, like I said, as Gojo does the amplification blue to destroy all the surroundings, we have Toji send over all the insects to create an opening that Gojo thinks to himself that he's after Raiko. So Gojo turns his back to try to get to Raiko and realizes that Toji is there. Toji begins to use the cursed tool, the Spear of Heaven, to pierce through Gojo's defenses to actually stab him in the neck and then go on to dog walk Gojo. I can't lie to you. This is probably a part where a lot of people that are only just anime watchers was completely thrown off to see that this man really made Gojo look like that, because you would think to yourself that Gojo would never actually look like that. Absolutely crazy. He takes care of Gojo, and this is the first time we got to see Gojo in that type of light. We get to see Geto and Raiko be downstairs after Kuro and Raiko tell each other they love him, and she sends her off. We have Geto tell Raiko that this is not something that you have to do. I'm not going to force you to do this. With Geto just having the open thought till he had, because like he displayed in episode 1 that he doesn't necessarily believe in Jujutsu sorcerers having to protect the weak. As Raiko is going to accept him to go back, she gets shot in the head as the music is playing. And you think to yourself, like, what the hell is happening? We look and we cut to the alleyway that we got to see, the hallway that we got to see Toji. Geto's confused and mad that he can't believe that this just happened, and he looks over there to realize that if he's standing there, then that must have meant that Gojo was killed. Geto is completely pissed because that's his best friend, and he jumps and springs into action, and that's where the episode ends. This episode, next one, is going to be extremely crazy to see that. It's just absolute insane to see this point, to see Toji animated and see him in this aspect, because I feel like he's a character that is really pivotal, and he's just a super awesome character. One of my most anticipated characters outside of Yuta, which being my favorite character. But that was pretty much everything that happened in episode 3. Definitely an action-packed episode that paced super fast. Let me know what you thought about the episode down below. Did you also enjoy that episode? Was that episode something that you really anticipated to happen? What did you think about the fight between Gojo and Toji? Let me know down below. But it's been your man Takami Love Anime, and I'll be back to y'all with episode 4, Geto versus Toji. Can't wait to see it. Peace.